I love my fancy new set. Look at my fancy dancy new set. That's pretty dang cool. Uh, Thank you, girlfriend, for my Christmas present. This light and this backdrop and everything. That was awesome. A great Christmas present. That right there, by the way, that's a QR code. And you point your camera at that, and it'll take you right to venmo.com/DoNotTalk. If you can help support this show financially, buy me anywhere from a cup of coffee to a tank of gas. That'd be nice. And out here in California, where I am, we're spending about $1.50 per gallon just on taxes. And there's this new agency. It's been around for a while, but they're really pushing it now, called CARB, California Air Resources Board. It's going to fix all the problems, even though we have some of the cleanest air in the world. But CARB is going to add another 65 cents per gallon to those taxes on fuel. By the way, they're not going to put that in effect until after the inauguration of my president. Why? Why are they waiting to unleash this fury of taxes on all of us at a time that we're broke and the state is broke? And it is. Well, because it's going to make Trump look bad. At least the dumbass Californians who, unfortunately, over half my fellow Californians are exactly that, dumbasses. They continue voting for plagues and slime and swine with a D after its name. And we're getting things like what's happening in Southern California right now with those fires. You put those people in office, you on the left, and you stupid rhinos. You put those people in those tremendous positions of power. You did that. Own it. And stop voting that way. Wake the hell up. Sorry. Obviously, I'm not talking to you. I know if you're watching this show and you've been watching for any length of time, we're on the same side, aren't we? I'm talking to those, though. Well, you know who you are. Probably not watching anymore anyway. Ew, he made me feel bad. Click, delete, censor, block. Despite what Mark Zuckerberg says about Facebook and he's changing it. Really? You think he's actually changed? You think he's had a change of heart and mind? No. Don't believe it. I'm not buying any of it. Oh, we're getting rid of fact checkers. Are you now? Who are the fact checkers, by the way? Who was paying them? Nobody seems to be asking those questions. I would love for your help if you could afford it. And I understand if you can't. I fully understand. But it costs money to put this show on and to keep it on the air. So that's at venmo.com/DoNotTalk. And if you're watching on Facebook, you want to follow this channel live, fantastic. Or on YouTube, please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. Just hit that subscribe button. While you're there, how about hitting like too? You'd be helping a lot. And on Rumble, rumble.com/DoNotTalk, follow that channel, please. You help me battle against these algorithms that the guys like me, alternative media, we're fighting that all the time. So we need you. We need you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for liking, subscribing, following, sharing these shows. You help break down the algorithms that way too. You fully do. My guest is Tony Neihart. Who? You're in for a treat. Let's get him in here now, as a matter of fact. And I'm going to ask you, Tony, first of all, welcome to the Big Old Bad Old Broadcast. And this is my first time having you on. Thank you, Gene McCoy, who I had featured on The Hitmen, one of my shows about radio. And he said, you got to talk to this guy, Anthony Neihart. I said, okay. I go, what's he do? He goes, he's got the insider trading track on military secrets and info and so on and so forth, what's going on in the military. Now, I serve, and Tony, I can't even say in what capacity because of my political stance, and I've already been warned before, I'll be kicked out. I'll lose everything. Boom, gone. Just because of that. So because Zuckerberg is saying we're not going to have fact checkers on Facebook anymore, doesn't affect the military, does it now? It's its own animal. And that's what I wanted to ask you about. I wanted you to watch this with me. First of all, a report. Are you following what's going on in Southern California with the fires?
Absolutely, I am. The whole nation is. It's very sad.
Watch this. Give me your thoughts.
Well, 10 lives have been lost so far. That was the last.
Oh, by the way, it's up to a couple of dozen now.
Death toll, 180,000 people under mandatory evacuation orders and 200,000 others on notice to leave. The impact of these wildfires is simply staggering.
The National Guard is now deployed in SoCal, and they're helping.
Okay, that's all I wanted to see because I wanted to hear about the National Guard. Now, I've been deployed. I've been activated. I've been on scene even with many of these big fires which California is plagued with. Not because of climate change either, Lefty. It's from mismanagement. I'll never forget when President Trump came out here and stood there with Jerry Brown and Gavin Newsom, as I call him, Governor Hairdo, and said, you need to rake your forests. And then the media lost their minds making fun of President Trump because he said, rake your forests. And that is, if they would have actually picked up a phone and called the Forest Service, what's that called when you groom forests? Raking. That's what you do. You rake the forest. That's what it's called. But they lost their minds making fun of him and trying to suggest that he's so stupid he doesn't know what he's talking about. That was what, 6 years ago now? After the Paradise Fire? Now look what's happened. Look what's going on right now. And in heavily populated areas. It's not just a forest fire, is it now? What's going on with all of that? Why did it take California so long to deploy the National Guard? Why do you think, Tony? Because I know the reason, but why do you think?
Well, what you have out there in California, it's if you want a man-made, climate disaster, that's it. I mean, it's just gross environmental mismanagement out there. And
why did they take so long to deploy the National Guard?
Because they're reactionary. They don't know what to do. And
I don't think it's that.
You think it's something else?
They're freaking broke. That's why the state is broke. And where I serve, in the capacity I serve in, we normally would be right on scene. When the National Guard gets deployed, so do we. Because we back them up. We take their jobs that they were doing. We take over for them. We become the main source of military protection for the state of California. But yet, none of us have been. We have not been called up. In the biggest fire in the history of the state of California, none of us have been called up. And I'm telling you, brother, it's because they're broke.
No one understands that either. California should be the richest place in America. I mean, the richest state in America. It's just, you guys have, California has taxed themselves into debt. It's unbelievable what they've done out there with just bad regulations, bad policy, just very bad management overall. It's and I just don't know.
By the way, who's to blame for that?
Well, it's going to be the Democratic Party. It's a machine out there in California.
Oh yeah.
They have control of those unions, and the unions vote for them. And the thing is, if you're not part of that union, your taxes are going to go up to pay somebody else's pension down the road. I mean, that's what's going to happen. You're going to be working for somebody else's pension. I just don't get what they're doing out there in California. But you're never going to change, especially since Democrats have control of those unions like they do.
Oh yeah,
it's a machine.
And don't forget the people who are voting to put those people in positions of great power. Okay, so the National Guard gets deployed. Let's hear from the Adjutant General Beavers as he holds a press conference. You ready for this one?
Yep.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Matt Beavers. I'm the Adjutant General of California. And on behalf of the 18,000 service members, civilian employees, and their families that serve in the California National Guard, our thoughts and prayers are with those that are affected by this fire emergency that we're talking about today. That said, we have 1,800 boots on the ground right now from the California National Guard. About 1,054 of those are supporting law enforcement agencies across this area to ensure that law enforcement officers can do that work, ensure that they can do counter-looting operations.
They're playing security guard.
To do law enforcement operations while we man traffic control points and checkpoints across the area. On the firefighting front, we have 529 service members currently supporting CAL FIRE. 355 of those are currently employed with CAL FIRE. That's from our task force Rattlesnake. And 174
That's State
are
Guard.
continuing their training down at Camp Robertson. They'll be available to CAL FIRE on the 16th of this month. On the aviation side, we continue to man 11 Type 1 bucket-equipped UH-60 Blackhawk helicopters.
Blackhawks.
And on top of that, we maintain 5 today, 8 tomorrow. 5 today, modular airborne firefighting system equipped C-130s from the California Air National Guard and from Air National Guards across the country. It's important to note every MAFS-equipped aircraft in the United States is currently in California supporting this emergency. Can't say enough about our DoD, Department of Defense partners. They've been extraordinarily helpful and supportive throughout this.
Good.
To just reach out one
Hope
time
so.
to the sheriff and let him know that if he needs additional folks, we'll have them there tonight.
Did you just say cheers?
That's why I wanted you to see that. Cheers. That's one of the absolute most inappropriate things I've ever heard.
It
Cheers.
is, and it's not something you'd hear from a general officer.
No.
General officers have a ton of responsibility, and the more responsibility comes with each star, and they don't get up there and say cheers. And it's
Hi,
part,
everybody.
that's another thing. They can't act as a law enforcement agency either. They can assist and provide assistance, but you're getting into Title 18, 1385, and some of the other things. Now there's some provisions that
They get
allows
around that, by the way, Tony. Sorry to interrupt, but you know how they
Nope.
get around that, right?
Yeah, there's some provisions that allow them to do it, but they're not going to be able to arrest or anything like that. They can assist and provide assistance.
And in what way? As we saw at the border when they got deployed down there by Governor Hairdo, that joke of which was nothing but photo op. And we saw them rushing the gates, and all they could do was yell and say stop, but they could not stop them physically. They could not detain them as they crashed through the gate doing 98, saying let them truckers roll 10-4. How they get around these problems with possibly firing on civilians is, and tell me if I'm wrong here, this is just I'm so limited in what I can say, and I hate that. But there's no bullets in the guns. There's no bullets on them. They don't have any magazines. If they have spare magazines, they don't have any bullets in them. There's no ammunition. There's no cartridges in those mags, in those clips. That's how they get around it. And the public doesn't know that. Simple fact that I just said that could get me severely reprimanded and maybe even kicked out. But it is the truth. They don't have bullets in their guns.
It's that's pretty common for the Army and National Guard, especially, in actions like that. I've seen that before. I shouldn't say it's common. I've seen it. So,
and those Blackhawks that he referenced, by the way, another thing that I've heard, because we're all talking when we're deployed and so on, it's some astronomical amount of money just to keep them flying for an hour. Even just sitting on the tarmac, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars per helicopter per hour.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into the maintenance of our systems. It's just not the Blackhawk; it's the F-35. It's the Yep, it's everything. We have the luxury items, but we also get the luxury, expenses that come along with them.
And we had to bring those in too, by the way, because Los Angeles City and Police Department gave away a whole bunch of their fire equipment to Ukraine.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that, out here, and I'm just like, unbelievable. But I don't know. California's got a long way to go, and they got a lot of changes to make. I remember, Pete Wilson out there. He did a decent job, I thought, but ever since he left, it's just been, a
We've had some
Democratic
good
machine.
governors, obviously Ronald Reagan,
Yep.
George Bajan, and Pete Wilson, as you mentioned. You notice
Yep.
I'm leaving Schwarzenegger out of that list.
Yeah. Thank you.
Um, so let's talk about your background, why you know what you know. Give us a little bio.
Well, I was in the United States Air Force for 21 years. Was going to get out after 8, and got applied for and got accepted into the Office of Special Investigations, which is a wonderful organization full of some great patriots. And, you know, did that for 11 or 12 years. I'm getting old. But did mainly, felony investigations is how I started off. Did a little bit into protective service operations and anti-terrorism, but
So
then
you're
I got
doing
into.
investigation work for JAG, then, basically.
Yeah, we didn't see it as working for JAG. Our job was to just do a fair and impartial investigation, and it's their job to prosecute them. I never saw it as we work for the prosecutors. So um, they were, some of those TV shows are a little off on that. But
Really?
after that, I got into counterintelligence quite a bit, and I loved that, and that was a very eye opening experience.
How long ago did you discharge?
Oh man, I'm old.
Okay.
2011 is
What was
when I
your
got
rank?
out. What's that?
Rank when you left?
We all went by special agent.
Okay,
So
because I need to know if I need to call you sir, or
no,
if I never say thank you because you're on the sergeant side of things. Are you an officer? Or are you
I
non?
was enlisted.
You're enlisted. Okay, got it.
Yep.
All right. Well, you're just one of we scrubs then. Uh, I have great respect for all of y'all, what you've done, what you did. You said that there were a lot of patriots in there, a lot of people, and all that implies is we feel privileged and honored to have been born in the greatest nation in the history of
Hmm.
the world. I don't,
Yes.
and if you want to call me some kind of a nationalist because of that, all right, so be it. I don't care. Say what you want. I don't let lefties rule the English language for me. But the what I wanted to point out is I don't think that those people are in the military anymore, Tony. I think those people were kicked out during COVID. I was one of only, out of all the
Hmm.
thousands that I served with in my capacity, I was one of only 9 that were given a religious exemption. And those who tried to do a medical exemption to the shot, denied. People lost everything, especially in
They
the
did.
big military. They lost everything. And many of them, when you have generals who they say things like cheers, who fired, dishonorably discharged service members who'd been in for a decade or two. They
Yep.
lost everything. They lost their retirement. They lost their benefits. They lost all their VA. Everything gone like that because they said, no, I don't want to put this in my body.
Yeah.
I don't
And
think there's a whole lot of patriots in the military anymore, Tony, because they were fired.
well, yeah, and that was a huge theme because especially when you get into pensions and benefits and stuff like that, some of those people will need it because they definitely saw action in the war that DC has no problem sending people to. So they do need that care, and hopefully that's something that Trump can rectify. But it really started under Obama when
Oh,
Obama
yeah.
started purging the generals.
With
Like when I
General
was,
Flynn, Michael Flynn,
yep,
being one of the first.
when I was in the military, we had great generals. We trusted our generals. We knew that they were going to have our back, and because we knew that they got promoted the right way. And if you look at what just happened down in Alabama, where an Army four-star general was just dismissed or relieved of his command, this is a 4-star Army general. But then it turns out that the personnel, the civilian side of it, never looked at his qualifications to be a general. That stayed on the military side. So we need more civilian oversight of the military, especially in the way we're making general officers right now. Because right now,
Are you a Pete Hegseth fan? Do you think he'll be a great?
yeah, I think Pete Hegseth will do well in the military. I think he's got a big, he's got a lot of issues right now, in the Pentagon. The first is the DEI. He's got to get that cleaned up. He's got to get the right people back in command, and then he's got to streamline, the contracting process. We have got to get wars changed, as you know. So we've got to get from prototype to production to the battlefield, and we got to do it in a very short time. And
we have to stop paying $5,000 for toilets and that kind of crap.
Absolutely,
absolutely. Yeah, that's a huge undertaking. But there are people who are ensconced like ticks. They've burrowed their way into their comfortable little high-paying, ridiculous, over-the-top retirements. They're going to do everything they can to protect that. They don't care about what happens to the United States of America in general. They truly don't. All they care about is getting what they're getting right now, and they're going to do everything they can to undermine. And you've seen that, haven't you? In the military, you always got a few in there who are trying to erode from within.
You do. And, I served with a lot of great people, as I'm sure you have, that, you can say they're patriots, but there's some in there, especially, on the civilian side of the house. You don't quit a government job if you don't like it. You just go in there and do it really half-ass.
And they'll promote you.
Yep, and that's kind of what's going on right now.
They'll promote you out of the department or out of the unit.
Yep.
It's so true. Let's talk about on a worldwide scale. What are you hearing these days? What's going on? What's going to be the culmination of the beginning of World War III, which the left is trying desperately to get us into?
Well, the big thing that, and I go around Nebraska talking to businesses and talking to a lot of county officials and, about Taiwan. Taiwan is the flashpoint for World War III. I don't expect anything until probably March. We're going to see some tensions over there. I think Z, and everybody's got to understand, Z is a one-man shop right now. So, but he's saying,
again, what is that?
He's a one-man shop. President Z of China. He's pretty much purged everybody out. So, and he definitely wants.
He's made himself king.
Yeah. And so I do expect, either a blockade or a full-out invasion of Taiwan, probably within the next either 2 months to 36 months. They can only invade twice a year, and they got to do it quickly.
Because of weather?
Yeah, the weather patterns in the Taiwan Strait are very rough. So you have some time from April through May. But the fog is going to be very, very high or thick. And then you have some time from September to November, kind of in that time frame. But you have the late season typhoons. And as you saw this year, there was a lot of late season typhoons over there. So probably around March, I think they're going to start. We're going to start seeing a lot of tensions. Look for an unexpected escalation. Starting that war. That would not surprise me. But,
for example, some sort of false flag thing that happened, let's say, in China that actually killed civilians, and then China's all outraged. It's Taiwan that did it.
Yeah, a Chinese jet being fired upon, supposedly, one of something like that. The thing is, we're putting in we have a lot of military hardware going into Taiwan right now. We just got our first shipment of Abrams over there. So the door's kind of closing on Taiwan as we go from ambiguity to strategic clarity. And if Z knows if he lets us get our defensive weapons in there, it's going to be very hard for him to ever take that.
Are these new Abrams or from the Korean War Abrams?
No, they're fairly newer. They got
Okay.
newer systems.
Did they say, see all those over there in Afghanistan? If you can get them over to your island, you can have them.
No, the Taliban wouldn't give those stuff ever.
No, they won't. And
No.
China's ruling the roost on our weapons that we left behind. Now, I will
Mhm.
always hold Joe Biden responsible for that.
Absolutely, that was. I
Catastrophic. $80
I don't
billion
even.
worth of equipment.
Well, not that, and a lot of lives lost. I had a friend killed over there, an agent doing his job, got hit by a VVIDE, and then lost another one in Iraq.
What
So,
is that for those who don't know?
vehicle-borne improvised device, explosive device. So there was a lot of things there, and we had that very good base, and that's a very strategic part of the
That
world.
we built,
Yeah, and
which is where we should have, if we were going to be taking anybody out, it should have been through our own air base.
yep, and the problem is we allowed too many countries into that negotiation, especially with the Qataris. The Qataris, you got to take them with a grain of salt. The Afghan military melted, but they were being told and paid not to, and it was coming from the Qataris. I I guarantee that. I can't prove that, but that's what happened. That's why they folded so quick.
I've actually aired some of the training films that are being shown to new recruits, service members, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, even about the whole transsexual thing. And we're inclusive, and we want everybody here, and we give everybody a chance, regardless of your ability to do the job.
Yep.
It used to be real tough to get into the military, and it still is if you're somebody like me, really tough.
Yep.
All I have to do is say, "Well, I self-identify as a woman," and I could get promoted all the way up the chain. The ridiculous shell of the military that is left behind, in my opinion, we are not battle ready for anything.
We aren't, and that's why I hope Trump doesn't invade Greenland right away because the Pentagon would find a way to lose that. Um, you know,
If we have to march into Canada,
yeah, we got to get back to a warrior mindset, and I think Pete Hegseth is he understands that. We are a hollowed out military right now, and that's a problem. And we have a lot of problems in our leadership. Obviously,
cheers.
General Milley just did a lot of damage, and
He was wicked. And Austin, good heavens, what a train wreck.
yeah,
Joint services. It's distressing because I get people asking me that a lot, and they don't like my answer.
no, they don't. And everybody wants to think that we have this very strong, powerful military, and we're not there. And
We were.
our supply chains aren't good right now. We just couldn't ramp up like we did in World War II. A lot of people think that, if we get invaded, we could just ramp up like World War II. That's not the way the production system in our weapons works anymore. The first George Bush really kind of messed that up after Desert Storm when he dismantled that.
Especially when so much of our electrical components and computerized weapons and weaponry and vehicles is from China.
Yep. And that's another big thing about Taiwan is 92% of the advanced chips come out of Taiwan. The other 8% come from South Korea. So any war, and you're going to have a major disruption to that. A $3 trillion hit to the economy. Now TSCM they're building a huge facility down in Arizona, which is good, and they're putting in a Fab 4 facility. So we're going to get a lot of those advanced chips, but still, it's not going to be enough for what we need. We need to build, more, but we need to protect Taiwan first and foremost.
We need to be making these things here. Right now, we don't even
Yep.
make aspirin. Seriously, there's
Yeah.
no company in the United States of America anymore that makes aspirin
Yeah.
from China. So even just ramping up an aspirin factory would take at least a year to where it's putting out enough for everybody. But I I love to be positive. I'm a positive
Mhm.
person. I don't like being negative. But Tony, I just don't think we're ready at this point. I've never known us in my lifetime to be this vulnerable.
We're extremely vulnerable right now, and even our nuclear deterrent. They're talking about the whole new Sentinel system. It's nothing off. It's nothing off the charts. Trust me. Um, you know, the good thing is the grown-ups are about to be back in charge. I like what Trump's doing, and you're already starting to see it from Hamas, saying that they're going to have. It looks like them and the Israelis are going to have a settlement in order. I like Rubio. I think Rubio is going to do good there. I think he's a statesman, and he's a China hawk. And we'll see how him and Trump get along. But this is a tough rebuild.
No
And
small hands jokes, Marco Rubio.
no,
No stupid small hands jokes. Uh, I'm seeing things too, and you're right. I mean, we're so close to the inauguration. We're a week from today, Tony.
yep, I cannot wait.
I can't either. But
Did you
already look
see?
what's happened with Canada. Justin Trudeau stepping down as prime minister.
Yeah, and well,
I was stunned by
he's
that.
yeah, he's in so much trouble up there. I mean, there was no way he was going to win anyway. He just didn't have. He's a political coward. Justin Trudeau is a political coward. He knew he was going to lose. He knew he was going to lose big, so he just quit. Instead of having the voters vote him out, he just quit.
I'm sure it's his liberal party encouraged it too, because here's what they're going to do: they're going to put somebody in there who's a little more center, like Bill Clinton was supposed to be center.
Yeah,
They're going to put somebody in like that, and they're going to go, look, everything's okay now. Look, everything's good. This person's going to fix it. Trudeau, yeah, I wish he would have done better, but oh well, wasn't he good looking? And they're going to put some other figurehead in there because they're running everything anyway from the top, and their prime minister's just a puppet, just
yeah,
like Joe Biden was for the past 4 years. They're
yeah,
just going to
absolutely.
continue that. And I pray that the Canadians, who I have so many friends who are Canadians. I love them. I wish they would wake up, but they keep going. They keep lockstepping and goose stepping to the left. And we're a socialist country. Look at our medicine. Look at we get free health care. No, it's not free.
Mhm.
Nothing free about it. You're paying in the taxes. Stop saying that. You sound dumb. But
Yeah,
that's their mindset. And again, it's like we want the government to take care of us from cradle to grave. You know where that works in the world?
Mm,
Nowhere.
never has, never will.
No, it doesn't. So, in your purview, how connected are you still? Are you still working in the defense industry in some way?
Mm, no, I got away from it. It was just I wanted to change. I got tired of it. Especially my last assignment. It was I was the superintendent, and the Iraq War was going on, and we lost one of our agents there over there, and at the end of it, I was just I didn't have anything left in the tank, and I kind of got really disheartened with the DoD after Iraq. So
I thank you so much for saying that, and I think I already know the answer to my question right now, though. But I haven't really. I know many who served in that conflict, and I tried to, but I was 4F. Um, why did we go into Iraq after 9/11? Why? That was the only one of the few governments in the Middle East that was not run by
mhm.
Islam. He was a strong man, but he wasn't an imam. Saddam Hussein kept some symbol, even though he was fairly much a nutbag, and treated, especially the Kurds, very poorly, his own people. However, it brought some stabilization to the Middle East because we had somebody with military might and military knowledge to go, no, you
Mhm.
don't. Now, it was dumb for him to go into Kuwait. That was a stupid move. We did need to go in there and rescue that little country, even though I don't think
Mhm.
financially they ever rewarded us for it.
No, they didn't.
And they're
Y-
incredibly wealthy. Um, but why, after 9/11, and why, after that whole Kuwait thing, did we go into Iraq? Why did we think we had to take out Saddam Hussein? Look what's happened to the region or to the nation after that.
You know, I think a lot of us, still ask that question because, we were watching as those B-52s and the initial bombing, they were taken off. They showed them on TV, and we're just like, what are we doing? I mean, everybody knew that he didn't have um, those weapons. They were going in there.
WMDs, weapons of
Yeah.
mass destruction, although he did because he used them against his own people. He used mustard gas against the Kurds. So, yes, he did have something. And they had massive tunnels underneath. And I believe much of it
Mhm.
was snuck underground into Syria
Yeah, and well, I think it
and
all goes back.
Afghanistan.
Yep. Iraq kind of goes back to Bush and the
That's what it
neocons.
felt like.
Yep,
The
and
son
they're
was going to vindicate daddy, who didn't get
yep,
to finish the job.
and
At what cost?
those neocons and the Bushies, they have this theory of intervention. They think if we just intervene and everybody's business and democracy is going to burst out, and that's not how it works. And we're seeing interventionist policies right now all over the world with Ukraine. That's a very interventionist policy that is getting dangerous if we're not careful,
Right.
and expensive for us. It's just we're not going to get anything out of that. So we just need to get away from the Bush era intervention um, idea and just throw it into the ash heap of history. And I think Trump is doing that. He's
I do
not.
too.
Trump's not an isolationist. People say he's an isolationist. He's
No,
not.
no, no. But he does want to work synergistically with other countries for the
Absolutely.
benefit of everyone. But that does not include sending the CIA in to overthrow and topple governments and so on. It,
No, it doesn't. You want to hear something very interesting, really quick? I went out to Council Bluffs during the election. It's John F. Kennedy Jr., so I said I'm going to go see him. It's not my party or anything, but he said something that made a lot of sense. He was just like, all these illegal immigrants coming up, they're all from all these countries except one, Costa Rica. He goes, what's different about Costa Rica? Well, it's the only place where the Pentagon and the CIA haven't totally messed up. And that kind of caught my attention. That was a very smart statement from JFK Jr.
I love Costa Rica. I've been there, fell in love
Mhm.
with it. I thought if I was ever going to be an expatriate anywhere, it's going to be Costa Rica. Um, they have some insanely high 98% literacy rating for the
Yeah,
entire population. They all read, write, they're smart, they're well educated, but they spend no money on a military. They have no military.
no,
How? And they're surrounded by nutbags who are constantly, governments are
mhm.
being overthrown by the military. Nicaragua, right there, their neighbor. How it hasn't spilled over is amazing to me because they're completely militarily vulnerable, but the people are so dang smart. They're so well educated. That
They
might
are.
that might have something to do with it. I don't know. You can't fool us. We're not gonna buy your crap, rest of the world. So I agree with Robert Kennedy Jr. That's he's right. I
Yeah.
hadn't thought about that. It had not dawned on me. Costa Rica, you don't see them flooding over the border. What's going to happen with that? People keep asking me, so Charlie, you think there's going to be a civil war? And again, this is just my opinion. Yep. But it's not going to be citizen against citizen. It's going to be citizens protecting themselves from non citizens because we have millions now. It's already happening with entire huge groups of protesters. A friend of mine down in Fresno said we got like 1,000 people down here, and they're illegals who are demanding that you abolish ICE. They are the Hamas clowns who were at college campuses, but then the
Mhm.
Democrat Party told them, "Hey, you're making us look bad before the election, so stop all the protesting on college campuses." That's the only explanation, because notice it all of a sudden went away.
Yeah.
I'm like, they've ramped up more than ever. They're Israel going after Hamas, and suddenly you're not protesting anymore. Why is that? So now they're together with those who are here illegally, and they're trying to get BLM to join them, Black Lives Matter. They're all Marxists. They're all Marxists. There were like 1,000 of them down in little old Fresno in Central California
Mhm.
protesting, and it's ramping up. And this is starting to happen everywhere. It's going on in San Diego, it's going on in California. While the fires are raging, these clowns are ramping up their protesting, trying to disrupt the inauguration of the president. It's going to happen at DC. There's going to be horrible things that are going to happen on January 20th. Mark my words.
Yeah, I'm more worried about the 19th when Trump goes to that convention center. I wish he wasn't doing that.
I wish he wasn't doing that too. It's the first thing I thought when I heard about it. I go, why give them another opportunity to take you out before you can even get in?
Yep. I wish he just,
I pray for his safety. I pray for the
I do
safety of
too.
his family, the people who are working with him, working for him. I pray for him. Please, Father, protect him in your name, Lord Jesus. Amen and amen. The Lord's obviously already protected him more than once.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, where do we go from here?
Well, 2025 is gonna be an interesting year. Hopefully, Trump can wind down the Ukraine war. The sooner we do that, the better the deal is going to be for us. Ukraine is done as a military. They just don't have the people. Um, and then we got to get ready for Taiwan. And Taiwan is a big concern for the next 2 years. But I do expect some tensions to start right around March. And we'll see if this is going to be the invasion. A lot of people just don't understand how Z is prepared over there. They just built the largest combat military hospital in the world
Their
right
Navy.
across from.
Their Navy. We always talk about how great our Navy is. Nope.
Mhm. Well, this is a large combat military hospital, the largest in the world. So this is a military that hasn't seen action since 1979, and now they just built this. So they're expecting a lot of casualties from somewhere, and it's obviously the Taiwan conflict. Um, and so I think Taiwan is going to be front and center. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
Anything else you want to share with us?
No, it's just you said you like to stay positive. There are a lot of positive things out there. We're
Good.
seeing
Give,
it.
give us some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep. I was watching those California fires yesterday, and the firefighters saved a home with a perfect airdrop. It was amazing. It's good to see the firefighters out there and what they're doing. Um, there's you always have to remain positive. Don't worry so much. If whatever happens, we'll be able to handle. If war with China comes, it comes, and we'll get through that war, and that war will end like all wars usually do. Um, and we have better leadership now, and so I think there's a lot.
In the White House, we will, yeah, too, and then
Yeah,
Congress and Senate, but not in the military.
no, that one's that's gonna take a while. That's
Yeah.
cleanup in aisle, a lot of aisles over there in the Pentagon.
Multi-aisle cleanup. All right, my friend. Tony, Anthony, Nehart, where do we find you if we have any questions we want to follow along with what you're doing? Where do we find you?
Well, I have a Facebook site called Unicamera Watch. Basically, what we do is we
Spell
watch UN
I.
UNI. Hold on, give me 1 second.
U
I
N
want to
I
make sure I get this right.
CAMERLI. Or no.
It's UNICAMERAL.
L.
And it's watch, Unicamera watch.
Unicamera watch.
Yeah, so basically what we do is we watch the Nebraska state government, but being the background, our background, we post a lot of current events, and we've been doing that for about 5 years.
You're on
And
Facebook.
yep, it's on Facebook, and we've been extremely accurate. So we kind of got our credibility that way, but we post a lot about world affairs because it does affect everybody.
Oh, yeah. I sure am glad I got to meet you. Thank you so much for sharing
Absolutely.
your time with us. Hey, do you have a pillow, a My Pillow?
No, I don't.
Okay, use my middle name Lee as a promo code. You can save up 75% off at mypillow.com/Lee.
I'm going to do that because I want to get one of those. So
They have over 100 products now at his online store. I love Mike Lindell.
good dude.
Nothing in the big box stores. They pulled all of his products off the shelves when he started questioning the election.
Yep.
Screw you, Walmart. That was the last one to do it. He went online at mypillow.com and he put in mypillow.com/Lee, or go to mypillow.com and use Lee as a promo code at checkout. You can have significant savings. That's my middle name. So how's that for fitting in a commercial, Tony?
There you go.
I'm a professional. All right. Thank you, brother. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me on.
Yes, it was a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure. I love talking to guys like that. And thank you so much for liking, subscribing, and sharing. You can follow the Rumble channel, please. You'll be helping me so much if you do that. And share these shows. I hope you learned something about where we are militarily. Are we prepared? Are we not? What's the story? I hope you got something out of it. And maybe some encouragement, at least at the end. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America, bless God.